Good morning, class. I hope you have a great morning for today because today we still have few discussion for this lesson up until we cover all the topics that is related to our lesson. But before that, let's jump first to our game, what we usually do. So for this game, the name of this game is Alphabet Chain. The direction for Alphabet Chain, this game helps expanding students' vocabularies. To play, choose a category. The category would be related to literature. So the student then name words that fit the topic, except that every proposed word needs to start with the last letter of the previous word. If a student is unable to think of another word, then they are out. The last student standing wins, which will receive a reward sticker, which means first you're going to pick a word that is related to literature. For example, figurative language. So the last letter for figurative language is letter E. You're going to think of another word that is related to literature that begins with a letter E. You have to do that in case, just to widen your vocabularies and also still related to our lesson. Okay, let's start. Okay, great. Okay, guys, great job for participating in our game. So let's dive into our lesson, which is still related to exploring culture and history through poetry. But we're just going to dive in to the specific topic in this lesson, which is imagery. First, let's define what is imagery. Imagery is descriptive language used to appeal to reader's senses such as touch, taste, smell, sound, and sight. By adding these details, it makes our writing more interesting. By adding imagery in our writings in terms of doing poems, doing short stories, or other literary works that uses this kind of figurative language or figures of speech, it makes our writing more interesting, more engaging to our readers, so to our audience. It makes them think that, oh, this is happening in this poem, in this story, and it makes the readers feel what is happening in that poem. They feel, or they hear, they see, or they taste what is that specific words that use as a guide to imagine what is happening in that poem. So it's really interesting for our readers that we use this kind of we use this figure of speech in terms of engaging their attention. Just look at this example. The original sentence is, she drank water on a hot day. It's just a simple sentence. It's a literal meaning. She's just drinking a water on a hot day. But when we add imagery to that sentences, this would be the result. The cool, refreshing water quenched her thirst as the scorching sun radiated on her. You can see that there's a drama on it. When you read it, it makes you feel that drinking water is dramatic in that specific sentence. And they show that how the sun radiate her while she fill up his thirst for drinking the water. You can see that when you add imagery, it feels like there's soap opera, and that's with just drinking water, because that's the sense of imagery. It makes us interested in reading it or seeing it in our poem or our short story because it gauge in our emotions and it gauge our entertainment to read it more, to know more what is really happening in this story and how this catch our attention in using words like this, such as refreshing, quench, thirst, scorching, or radiated. It use words that we do not usually use in our daily basis, right? That's why it entertains us to read it more. So let's go now on the types of sensory imagery. First one is visual. It engages the sense of sight. Anything that you can see, that is visual. Next one is gustatory. Engage the sense of taste. Anything that you can taste or that is gustatory. And next one is tactile. Tactile engage the sense of touch. Anything that you can feel, it is related to the sensory imagery tactile. Let's go to the next one. Olfactory. It engage the sense of smell. When you see sense of smell in the sensory imagery used in a statement or any literary works, that is related to olfactory. Next one, you're very familiar with this, auditory. Engage the sense of hearing. You can hear this, or anything that you can hear is related to auditory. Next one is motion. Motion or kinesthetic. It is engage the feeling of movement. Anything that you do, anything that requires you to move to another dimension or another place is called as kinesthetic or motion. Let's take a look on these examples. In this side, you can see sensory experience, and the other side is the experiences. For the first one is visual. You can see the example is muddy socks. You can see a muddy socks, right? And auditory, it's buzzing sound. You can hear the buzzing sound. And for the next one is tactile. Mud, felt, slimy. The keyword in there is felt. So you can felt the slimy mud. And the next one is gustatory. Pizza tastes like cardboard. The keyword in there is taste. So it's related to gustatory. It just simply means, for a literal meaning, the pizza doesn't taste good. That's why it is related to what? A cardboard. Next one, for olfactory, it is the example for this is perfume smells like flowers and vanilla. You can see in there that they use the sense of smell. So the word smell is used that in that statement that is correlated with the flowers and vanilla. It is just compared to flowers and vanilla, the smell of the perfume. So it's related to olfactory. Next one is motion or kinesthetic, which I discussed earlier. That is a sense of movement, something that you requires to move to one another or one dimension to another. So let's see, what is the example? The example is pounding hearts. It is something that requires you to move. That is motion or kinesthetic. So you have to remember that so that you can answer our activities later on. So I hope you've learned something for our discussion for today, and thank you all for listening. I hope even though you're at home, you're being productive and still willing to learn in our lesson in this subject. So thank you guys for being participating in our class. Okay, for your seat work, what you're going to do, let's see the direction. Copy and complete the following chart by giving the appropriate sensory experience for the image given. The first one is done for you as your guide. Let's see the first one. The other side is the expression, the other side is sensory experience. The example, days are green, fires and nights are warm. And the sensory experience is sight or touch. You can see in there, the example, you can see days are green, fires, it is sight for the sensory experience. And the nights are warm is for the sensory experience touch. But for us to be aligned, what you need to answer for this one, for your activity is just what we have discussed earlier, which is the sensory experience: visual, auditory, tactile, gustatory, olfactory, motion, or kinesthetic. That's the answer that you're going to put in the sensory experience, just for us to be aligned in this specific activity. Let's see what is the items. Number 2, blood rich as milk, heroes who fought to sing the poetry of freedom. Number 4, rain's mighty rivers furrowing the earth. Let's see number 5, birds build patiently twig by twig. And number 6, the warm brown circle of its nest. Number 7, verdant and sprawling mountains, hills, valley, plains. Number 8, lakes, waterfalls, rivers, sunset, beaches, and a generous sea. Let's see number 9, planting rice, husking coconut, throwing nets far into the Pacific. And number 10, my bones sleep quietly as a bride. What you have to answer in there, like what I've mentioned earlier, is the sensory experience that we have discussed, such as visual, auditory, tactile, gustatory, olfactory, motion, or kinesthetic. That's the sensory experience that you need to provide in the seat works. Okay, let's go now to your assessments. So what you have to do, you can choose one from the following activities. We have 2 activities in here. So the first activity is you can draw a symbol of being a Filipino in your paper, in a one whole sheet of paper. Then explain in at least 5 sentences why you choose that symbol. For example, you draw sun to symbolize being a Filipino, and you have to explain why you choose that symbol as being a Filipino in a one whole sheet of paper. The next activity you can choose, list at least 3. So sorry that I put 5 in there, but at least 3 ways on how to show your pride for your country. So it's just 3 ways on how to show your pride for your country. Example, buy good local products. So you can you can write that, anything that you can say that you are proud of your country, you're proud of being a Filipino. Just 3. And your output will be graded according to the following criteria. First one is content, effort, and mechanics. So you can just only choose one. It's either you draw a symbol or you list 3 ways on how to show your pride for your country. So I hope you understand our seat work and our assessment. You can put that seat work and assessment in a one whole sheet of paper. You can put the seat work at the front of the paper and the assessment at the back of your paper. So, nakakatipid tayo. Okay? Understand, guys? Okay, great. So, I hope you've learned something for today, and thank you for participating in the class, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye, class.